Good evening, everybody. Evil Zone speaking with another, I was about to say Elite Dangerous, with another scheduled Citizen Sleeper 2 stream. I'm saying scheduled, but I'm actually one day behind schedule. I had some real life event come in my way yesterday, so I decided to go live one day later as a makeup. In the long run, YouTube won't be able to tell the difference once the videos are uploaded. They're part of the playlist. Yeah, but I'm really curious to find out what happens next on our journey. We are going to start traveling now, going to new systems, trying to find our friend's sister, trying to repair our body. And so, without yakking on for too long, let's just head into the game. I'll have to get it started and set up first. Also, I'm still fighting with a little bit of a... Now it's no longer... Excuse me. It's no longer congestion. Now it's a cough. So it's moving around. Moving around, being a general annoyance. All right, let's hop over to the game. And here we are, Citizen Sleeper 2. Oh, and it wants us to click to start? That's not good. There we go. All right. So I apologize. I'll try to cough as little as possible. 37, cycle 37. That means we've survived for over a month in game now. Quite the achievement. And last session, if I recall, was actually pretty successful. We had lots of good things happen to us. Let me ensure that I can see the chat now. For a second there. And now we'll see if we can keep that track record. And we were planning to head up to the... No, we are at the far spindle. So next stop would be Holmes Rock? Or is it Hellion Gate? Locate a ship at Hellion Gate. That would be here. Or we're looking for Seraphin's sister in Wellspring. I think we need to go to Helion first. Helion's Gate. Helion Gate. And just to confirm, we spent some time here because we always get a deduction of 3. And we try to make use of that. So here we go. Zoom. Hellion Gate hangs over the rig. Its corroded arches resemble the dislocated vertebrae of some vast, long-dead serpent. That's one big, ugly scrap pile, Seraphin whistles from the pilot seat. Solheim didn't like to build them small. And I can't control. I've lost control of the game. That's weird. Yeah, I can't choose my responses. Strange. Give us a second. There we go. A monument to hubris. Seraphin shoots you a sideways glance. Feeling poetic, sleeper? Got to be big if you want to fit every ship that visits the system through it. Bliss cuts in from the back of the cockpit. Impressive? Really? Building something so massive out here? Solheim liked to impress visitors, sure. Seraphin leans forward, looking for the best place to enter the structure. But they also like to scan entire ships and impound those that didn't enter through the gate. Seraphin catches your eye, looking for some agreement. Not the most admirable qualities. Solheim was a curse on the system. Seraphin nods. Better off without them. That's for sure. I agree. But without them, this system would just be 2 gas giants and a load of rocks. No harm in recognizing it. You look out of the cockpit towards the gate, its layers of systems and rooms slowly opening to the void, peeling away cycle after cycle to reveal the bones beneath. This is where Jean-Mi mentioned you might be able to find the location of a ship with a prime ship mind among the old shipping manifests and Solheim records. You look over the towering structure of the gate. This is going to take some work. Suddenly, a flash high up on the gate catches your eye, a light turning on and off again for a moment. You lose track of it. Is this place inhabited? Seraphin raises an eyebrow. I doubt it. He winks and smiles. You hoping for a station-side bar? I have a feeling you'll be disappointed unless we find an executive's old liquor cabinet. Bliss pats you on the shoulder and drifts out of the cockpit. Time to see what secrets the gate has left. All right, let's take a look around. We can look at the Solheim records or the Customs Hall. Customs Hall. Within the gate, once the main checkpoint for entry into the entire Hellion system, the Hellion gate lies dark and broken, but is not without its secrets. Explore the corridors with Intuit or scan the hall with Interface, which we're both good at. Let's see what the other place is. The Solheim Records, pre-collapse shipping manifests. Idle mines. Identifying a ship with a viable ship mine means pouring through the records of Solheim's shipping lanes. Power up the archive. One way to get the data you need from the archive is to power up the whole machinery of it. A daunting engineering task. Extract the records. Slower than turning on the entire archive, selectively extracting records is a safer and slower method to get what you need. Yeah, and unfortunately, because we're not an engineer, that's what we'd have to do. And it feels like that's what is needed of us. But for now, let's see what the customs hall has to offer by exploring the corridors with an automatic success. There are signs everywhere that despite being long abandoned, you are not the only visitor to the Hellion Gate. Now we got another location. The derelict fuel barge. We can scavenge fuel in the shattered, jagged old barge once carried a fleet's worth of fuel. With care and time, you may be able to scavenge some of it for your ship. Which we will probably need at some point. Which is terrible because we're not good at Endure. Okay, let's keep searching. We'll do another one with a 50% chance of a positive outcome. And then we're already done. Navigating the corridors is exhausting, but you begin to get a sense of the layers of this place. Is there another discovery? Yep. Seized cargo, prohibited storage. Search for supplies. We can get supplies here as well, but it's also an endurance action. Wow, that's not good. All right, so instead we'll do explore. No, we're not going to explore once more. Now we're going to scan the hall. After spending some time here, you're convinced you're not alone here, but how to find the gate's residence? New location discovered. Gate structure, internal workings. Cutaway scrap or data scraping. Most of the gate is corroded beyond use, but deep in the structure you can find good metal. Data scraping. The gate's networks collapsed long ago, but there's data to be found in the old terminals and servers inside the structure. Yeah, not with those dice right now. Instead, I guess now we're gonna start looking for the records. Loading. You manage to extract a few sets of records, but nothing mentions any ship-mined equipped vessels. Let's do that twice. Alright, you extract a partial code base for searching the records. This will make things easier. Okay, let's take a rest. And now we're going to have our friends scavenging for fuel instead of odd jobs. And I think it worked. I think we got more fuel just now. We were down to 2, now we're back at 3. All right. It's going to be 100% positive. Yep, we extracted some partial records. Our dice today are crap. My goodness. All right, neutral outcome. Neutral outcome. more neutral outcome. And the last one, now that's a 50% chance of a negative. Ooh, all the data you find is corrupted. Is there even any point searching here? We're starting to get hungry. Making meals? Yeah, let's make a meal. All right, and now we're gonna let them search for supplies in the cycle. Oh, that actually worked. All right, so we'll have them scavenge more for more fuel now. And we're gonna head out. All right, these are 2 perfect results, and that would all actually finish the idle mines for us. As before, we extract partial code base for searching the records, and this will make things easier, and the next one should finish it. Let's go. You hear something in the dark. Uh-oh. In the dark and airless void of the archives, something flickers. You have been working in the dark, picking through the guts of corroded machines, skimming the data in their corrupt memories, digging through a graveyard in search of ghosts. But now, with another flicker, the place begins to come back to life. All along the rows of benches, some of them crushed by fallen ceiling panels, terminals begin to flicker into uneasy life. A cacophony of distorted sounds accompany the machines as some of them immediately glitch and spark. Did you do this? You stand frozen as the archive glitters around you with a million shipping entries. The stream of information is overwhelming, node graphs drawing out routes and inventories tracing a web around you in pale cyan. Suddenly they all shut off, the terminals blinking out together, leaving a single translucent screen glowing softly in the dim room. And in that dim room, drifting towards you out of the dark, you see a figure. Holy shit. Is this what you are looking for? The voice crackles aggressively through your suit's local comms. Stop right there. Oh, look who it is! Sleeper, is that you? You hear Uni's voice, now tense and unsure. She stops beside the single online terminal, her suited form lit in pale light. Uni. You hear the smile in her voice. Good to see you again. She pauses and glances around, though the venue is a little unexpected. What are you doing here? I'm searching these archives, too, although slightly less forcefully than you. I did have this whole speech prepared for whatever salvager was ripping through these archives so messily, not to mention aggressively, but now that I know it's you, well, I'm just glad to see you. Although you really need to be more careful. You could have taken the entire archive down the way you were working with it. These machines are decades old. You can't just rifle through them like they were a scrap pile. I saw the pattern of your queries. A prime ship-mind equipped ship, still operational at the collapse, last located in the region around Helion Gate. You can feel how pleased she is with herself from here. That about right? Nicely done. She nods. Would you expect anything else? That's why I did the hard work for you. Uni beckons you over to the lone lit-up terminal. You drift over and see a single point, a faded transit trail beside it, sunward from the Helion Gate. Something like this, maybe? She smiles and steps aside so you can see the screen. You check the info pane beside the map, ship mind in use. Abandoned by all hands after the collapse, tantalizingly in reach. What can I say? Thank you, Uni. But, Uni turns and in the glow of the terminal meets your eye with complete seriousness. The question is, what do you want it for? Why do you want to know? I want to come with you. Uni gives you a strong look. Do you know how often someone gets out to one of those old Solheim wrecks? They are more trouble than they are worth, but contained inside there's an entire history to uncover. I need that ship mind. And you are welcome to it, she pauses. I promise to help you get what you need, and not to get in your way. I know I can't force you or trick you into taking me. That's why I wanted to offer you this instead. She indicates the terminal, still showing the ship's final resting place. I hope that maybe if I helped you find what you needed, it would show I can be trusted. I'm blanking. I'm trying to recall. Oh, hello. I just noticed. When did you guys come in? Cyrene? Destarnian? Destarnian, thank you for the raid. Let me give you a quick shout out. Well, you've been here for almost 5 minutes already, and I was so engrossed in the story. Hey, how's it going? Thank you for coming in. I'm now trying to remember why I parted ways with Uni. And if it was a good parting or a bad parting, do I trust her or do I not trust her? I thought I trusted her and she just didn't want to come along, right? That's how it went. I think that's how it went. I trust you. She smiles. Thank you for saying so. I'll send you the coordinates to your ship, and I'll be hanging around the gate until you're ready to leave. She shifts in front of the terminal and plugs in her deck, tapping away at rapid speed. If you need to go get supplies from the spindle or anything else, fine. She folds her arms. I'll wait. But if you go on this job without me, I'll get the message. She shrugs. You won't see me again. With that, you leave her in the archive extracting data as you ascend back to Hellion Gate's upper levels. Wait, is that sarcasm, Cyrene? So, let's see. We have one more cycle to spend before we need to do anything. So I would say let's risk resupplying our ship with fuel, even if it's dangerous. Nevertheless, we gotta try it. Ooh. Searching the barge is dangerous work, and every container you check has been sucked dry. You leave empty-handed. Okay, well, we'll try. Oh, that's not good. Last one, please. You managed to scrape together enough fuel from different tanks to make it worth the effort, but only just. All right, let's have some more meal from the canteen. And let's stay for one more cycle. Yeah, right, Destarnian? Cyrene's British, so you never know. But I think Uni was the hacker that got us in trouble in the first place. She wanted to steal what we were looking for, but then we ended up doing a heist together with her. And I thought by the end of it, I was okay with having her on board, but she decided not to come along. Now let's take a look how much fuel. We're going to need 4 fuel to get there. That is quite a lot. That's quite a lot. So let's try getting more fuel this cycle. Man, even a 6 has only a 25% positive outcome. But we actually got the positive outcome. That's perfect. So let's try one more. You'll happen across an almost full tank, a windfall that makes the job a lot easier. Perfect. Now let's do the same with cargo. Or should we do some data scraping now? We'll look for some for seized cargo. And then we're full on everything again. Negative outcome. Damn it. All right. We'll have to make do with what we have. We're going to go to the ship mind wreck. In order to run a full diagnostic of your system, Jean-Mi needs a ship mind. The Solheim wreck abandoned during the collapse is your best shot. All right. Oh, this is the first time that we actually have a selection of crew. Now, we do have to take Uni with us because she said if we don't, she gets the message. So now the question is, are we going to take Bliss or are we going to take Eugen? Both have a skill that we need because we're not good at engineering and we're not good at endure. Let's take the engineer though. Yeah, confirm. Cyrene, are you streaming later tonight? We're too far sunward, sleeper. Seraphin turns back in his chair to look at you. I don't like it. It's hard not to agree. The coordinates Uni found have drawn you out of Hellion Gate and almost out of the belt completely into the soft, rubble-strewn transition with the Hellion system to the edge of Conway-controlled space. That's why the ship is likely to be untouched. Uni surveys the wreck coldly. It's too far sunward for belt traffic to run into. And now, with Conway drones patrolling the edge of the belt, it's even less attractive as a salvage site. Stay silent. Seraphin sighs. Why does that not reassure me in the slightest? We need to be quick. Agreed. Seraphin flicks a few switches. We should assume the wreck is being watched, or at least is on a patrol route. As you look out at the twisted wreck, you swear you see a red light blinking between the stars. You exchange a look with Seraphin. He has seen it too. We'd better get to it, sleeper. Seraphin begins unclipping from a seat, quickly and quietly. All right, that's good to know, Cyrene, that you'll be streaming later. That means we'll have a raid target. From what I understand, Conway drones run on automatic until they detect something of interest. Uni unclips too. So long as we are quiet, we don't have to contend with an operator, just automated search sweeps. So, if we are detected, we will be killed by a machine, not a person. Bliss shakes their head. I don't find that very reassuring. They get up out of the corner seat and glide towards the back of the ship to get suited up. You drift out of your chair and head towards the airlock, unable to shake the feeling of being watched. Being here is a risk, you know that, but you need the ship mind, so no matter what happens, you won't be leaving here empty-handed. Oh, we don't have a lot of choice here, apparently. Tracing the ship mind. The records show this ship had a ship mind installed. You'll need to find where. We can explore the ship, which I'm skilled at with Intuit. Starting up network architecture might bring unwanted attention, while exploring in person is likely to keep your crew undetected. Or we can extract map data. Some of this ship's network architecture still functions, Accessing map data from it will help you explore the wreck, which both Uni and I are good at. So let me explore the ship first with an automatic success. Slowly but surely, routes are tracked through the ship. It won't be too much longer until the ship mind is located. That sounds promising. Extract map data. 50-50 for a positive. Still good. The corridors of the ship start to make sense, but the process is unnerving and exhausting. 25% chance of a positive. The corridors of the ship start to make sense, but the process is unnerving and exhausting. All right, let's have our friend Bliss do some exploration. I can fix anything. All right, that's good. Now, Uni is going to do some map extraction. Ooh. There are fragments of the ship's layout in the data extracted, but it's a big ship. Her stress level isn't very high with only 4 dots, so I think these dice are too weak to risk. Well, we'll have Bliss do one more exploration. No, 50% negative. No risk, no fun, right? Let's try. Right. Oh, I did it? You did it. Well, in that case, we're going to try my skill one more time, and then we've got it. I'll explore the ship once more. Perfect. Okay. You've located the ship mine cradle. Time to extract it. Uni leads you deep into the wreck, through crushed and twisted corridors, floating panels and wires appearing suddenly in your headlamps like strange sculptures. Just as you begin to tire of the endless dark and the haze of particles washing over your suit, Uni leads you into a chamber where the ceiling is torn open to reveal the stars. At its center lies a cylindrical object, half your height, but raised on a complex pedestal, from which countless thick cables snake off into the dark like braided hair. One or two of them float freely, waving back and forth with glinting, severed ends, but most of them disappear into the floor and walls, or twist and curve out of sight. Beautiful, isn't it? Uni stares at the prime ship mind, the stars reflected in her faceplate. Not bad. Uni glides over to the pedestal, pushing her way delicately through the wires as she takes out her terminal and looks for an access port. She talks softly, her voice carried through the suit comms. These cables lead off to every one of the ship's systems, engines, life support, navigation, lighting, networking, you name it. ShipMind has hardwired access to them all. When an old ship like this was running well, the ShipMind would distribute itself, some of its protocols running freely in different sections. It would be less like a single governing mind and more like a load of systems clumped together to form a complex living machine. Think of a plant rather than a being. A plant with incredibly rapid processing power and much more accelerated response time than your average tree. You watch as she finds an access port and slips a cable inside, slotting a translucent screen onto the top edge of her deck. Let's see here. Uni's screen fills with bright scrolling data. Incredible. There's so much here. She hits a few keys. I'll start copying this over. It's everything I need. You watch as Uni starts rapidly tapping at her keyboard, her attention sucked into the data she's extracting. Wait for her to notice. You wait quietly in the ruined chamber, watching the stars through the ripped roof. You can understand Uni's insatiable curiosity. These wrecks are incredible. Uni suddenly snaps out of her trance. Right. Where were we? The ship mine. Let me check. As I thought, she sighs. So, like I was saying, the protocols inside the ship mine are distributed. So when the ship mine is shut down unexpectedly, the protocols are rarely all contained in this unit. She places a hand gently on the cylinder. As is the case here, parts of it are trapped elsewhere in the ship's system nodes. She taps a few keys, which is a problem. There's always a problem. Luckily, Uni turns back to you smiling. You have me. If we rip this thing out now, with parts of its protocols elsewhere, it's probably going to destroy itself the moment we turn it on. It doesn't matter that we are going to wipe the whole thing anyway. It'll be too late. The mind inside the ship mind will be broken. But if we find the nodes housing the distributed parts, power them up, and then disconnect them, the protocols will be sent back into this ship mind here, and we can take it out clean. How do we find the nodes? We either ask the cradle very nicely, or we spend the next cycles following these cables to see where they lead. I've got an incoming signal. Seraphine's voice suddenly cuts through on the comms, urgent and nervous. If you're lighting up the systems and networks down there, time to stop. You hear a click as Uni disconnects from the cradle, and the two of you exchange nervous looks, instinctively backing off from the ship mind. Suddenly, a faint red light glitters in the dark beyond the broken ceiling. You hold still. The moment stretches out, and you hear Uni's breathing through the comms. The light flashes, pauses, and then fades. You take a breath. Too close. Conway drone, Uni whispers. Conway drone, Uni whispers, sniffing the network. I was expecting Seraphine to say something because we still see him on screen. We're clear, Seraphine chimes in again. I've turned off almost all of the rig systems, but we need to be careful. Keep network activity to a minimum. Understood, Uni cuts in. But we will need to access the networks to get the ship mind out quickly. Then I hope you're feeling lucky. There's a click as Seraphine closes the line. You and Uni look at each other again, and then at the ship mine, encased in its cradle, wrapped in cables. This isn't going to be easy. Well, at least again, it's only one location, the wrecked cradle. Extraction strategy. The ship mind is still sealed in its cradle. It'll take some thought and experimentation to figure out how to extract it. We can track the cables, or we can hack the cradle. All of us are shit at tracking cables, so we're going to hack the cradle, which Bliss is absolutely useless, but at least Uni and I can do it, but not this cycle because we both have terrible dice. So let's head back to the ship and end this cycle. Oh, look at this. Even Bliss can try something with this amount of dice. My gosh. All right, let's start off with Uni and 2 automatic successes from her. Pretty perfect. The node map of the cradle's connection grows. A little more and you should be able to identify which to isolate. All right, Uni, let's do it again. Calculating the outcome. See? I've got it. All right. Now I'll show you that I can do that too. Boom. And one more and we've got it. So, am I going to... You know what? I'm going to hold on to my perfect dice and try with a 50% chance to get it. All right. Accessing the cradle reveals a mess of network connections. The more that turn on, the more likely you will be discovered. Yeah, but we got it now. You've located the key nodes that need to be disconnected to free the ship mind. port node and the starboard node. All right, let's look at the port node. Disable the node or cut the node. One clean cut through the connecting cable and the node will be disconnected, but mess it up and there could be trouble. Ooh. But Bliss has a perfect eye, so Bliss, do your thing. I'll do the job, no problem. The cut is clean and the node goes dark. Awesome. Can you do it again? You know what? No, let me do it. I can disable the node. This node needs to be disabled precisely and quickly to keep your incursion under wraps. All right. The node has been disconnected from the ship mine's cradle. Perfect. And now for the starboard node. All right, Bliss, this time it's only a 50% chance to be 100% successful. This looks interesting. Go for it. You got this. That's how we do it. The cut is clean and the node goes dark. All right, I think we got this. We got this. Wow, we're on a roll today. I say that, but I knock on wood because I don't want to jinx it. All right, let's disable the node with my hacking abilities. The node has been disconnected. Boom. It's ready, sleeper. Uni's voice comes quietly through your comms. You look over to her, floating beside the cradle, uplit by the pale screen of her deck. She gives you a reassuring nod. You turn to the prime ship mine, now floating above its cradle. The final node's disconnected and the lock's released. You glide over and gently grab it, the worn metal casing gleaming in the dim light. As you do, you feel a strange sensation of something moving around inside, like a creature in a box, the weight shifting this way and that under the pressure of your grip. It suddenly dawns on you that Jean-Mi plans to put you inside the strange device, to hold your mind there, while he investigates your body. The thought prompts a shiver. That drone's still sniffing around, sleeper. Seraphine's voice crackles on the comms. So if you have what you need, let's go. You feel Uni's hand fall on your shoulder. Come on, sleeper, don't overthink it. She pats you gently. There will be plenty of time for that later. You look up and see a faint red light glittering in the dark beyond the broken ceiling. Time to leave. All right, and there's nothing else to do here, so let's leave. That was a picture-perfect mission, I gotta say. Arriving back at the Hellion Gate, as lonely and cold as it is, feels like a relief. There was a tension in the rig as you came back out of the inner system, a watchfulness for errant signals and glinting red beacons that choked the conversation. But now, floating in the comforting shadow of this vast ruin, the sense of relief is palpable. That's one prime ship mine condition unknown retrieved. Seraphine runs the engine shutdown protocols as he speaks. I'd mark that as a success. Agreed, thank you. Seraphine waves away your thanks. We're a crew. We work together. Sleeper, can I speak with you? Uni asked from the back of the cockpit. Of course. She leads you into the passage, tucking herself against the wall. She looks small, even in this compact space. Thank you for taking me with you. I hope I proved I am trustworthy. I never doubted you. That's nice to hear. She smiles at the floor. Thank you. In my time here, in the belt, I haven't found it easy to make friends. She falters, tripping over her words slightly. But you, Sleeper, well, I hope you'd consider me a friend at least. I would. She can't help but smile. I'm glad. And I would like to ask you something. She pauses. Would you consider taking me with you on the rig? She blurts out. And then before you can answer, I think I would be of help for your diagnostic. And in the meantime, I can take a look at the ship mine, make sure it is ready and... Yes, you can. She stops, speechless. She looks down at her hands and then back up at you. Okay, she smiles. Thank you. She looks down again. I will find a bunk. And she quickly glides off down the corridor before you can say anything further. Another stray collected. Seraphim puts a hand on your shoulder. Quite the refugee we are building here. He gives you a sly smile. You don't approve? Seraphim shrugs. You know, I've actually started to warm to this one. She's all right by me. He smiles and pushes off from your shoulder, gliding towards the engine room. You look towards the bunks, but Uni is already out of sight, likely unpacking already. The ship is getting a little crowded, but you are starting to realize you like it like that. Yeah, I do like it like that. At the very least, she'll prove invaluable when you get to Flotsam and have to deal with Jean-Mi. Perhaps she'll even have a read on the old man. You pause for a second, appreciating the warmth, the hum of the rig, and its inhabitants. This ship, you think, is starting to feel like home. Okay, now, we got a bunch of good dice. We still have 6 fuel left. Let's see where 6 fuel takes us. I don't think it takes us back to Flotsam. No, that would be 8. But it could take us to, come on, to the far spindle with 4, and then we can purchase fuel there. And try do some more gambling there to see where that takes us, because we still have that gambling storyline that will unfold once we've done enough in that location. So let's work on the gate structure and see what happens here with the data scrapping. You find a terminal that can be jump-started and the contacts extracted, and we got some Solheim data. I'm sure we can sell that at some point or use it for something else. So let's keep going at it. We find another one. Neutral. Oh, we find another one, but it costs us some energy. And we find another one with Potter's Mouth. You know what I'm just realizing? I am just realizing we don't even need to. We go to the ship and we'll do fuel scavenging for 2 cycles, and then we have enough, and then it's also time to move on, and then we can go directly to our location. So it's cool. It's cool. We can just take a rest now. Do some more extracting. Now, oh, we already have 8 fuel, so perfect. Let's source for supplies now. And let's do some more scrapping. Data scrapping. Automatic success is always appreciated. So just to reiterate, I am always spending a minimum of 3 cycles in a station because, let me show you, we have the hunt. Lane is on the hunt, back on our trail with renewed intensity. As long as we keep moving, we won't have to face him again. And so every time we travel, every cycle, the clock goes up by a tick, but every time we travel, it gets reduced by 3. So until we reach that value of 3, there's no point in traveling. If there's things to be done on that station, which there is, we can scrap more data. So let's try and be efficient and do that. We found another terminal, and what does this do? We find another one. Yeah, see, now we're already... And later on, we'll have this data to sell, and that's going to be, I'm sure that's going to be worth something. Ooh, everything you find is fried beyond use. A pointless expedition. See, now we're starving. Now we need to go back to the barge. Excuse me, to the rig, and use up one of our supplies. End the cycle. And now, after rolling some more dice, now we have to travel. So let's scrap some more, because this is a 100% positive outcome. And those are 50% positive outcome. All right, that costs some energy. You find some solid state storage that is yet to be consumed by bit rot. Okay. And now we're starving, but that's okay, because now we're moving on. We're eating once more. And now we're moving on to... Wait. Oh, that just looked like there was something to do there, but there isn't. Oh, we could go to Home Rock from here? I didn't know that. But we need to go to Flotsam again to bring the ship mine to Jean-Mi. Let's go to the Ferris tanker first and fill up our fuel for 60 creds. 60 cryo, I'm sorry. And there should be a place where we can do the same with supplies too, right? Probably Old Takahe? Yeah, we'll fill our supplies as well. So there's nowhere to sell the Solheim data here, but I'm sure we're going to find a place. Let's go to Jean-Mi's booth. Jean-Mi has promised to run diagnostics on your changing body, but needs the ship mind to house your emulation while he works. All right, let's start that. Come, let's get you inside. Jean-Mi swings open the creaking, corroded door beside his booth. Such a prize must have levied a heavy cost. You glance beside you to Uni, who insisted she came along, and on not letting the prime shipmind out of her sight. Your friend too, yes, please come in. Jean-Mi beckons and then turns back and disappears inside. Uni squints at you. Are you sure you trust this one? I don't have a choice. She sighs. I suppose not. Lead on then. You both squeeze through the door and drift down into the workshop. You are aware of Uni's eyes wandering across the piles and piles of tech on either side, and you wonder if she recognizes anything among the junk. Sit, sleeper. Jean-Mi is already at the chair, arranging his array of articulated arms. And I'll take that ship mind, if you please. Why would I hesitate? I hand it over. You hold the ship mine in front of you and give it a small push so it floats gently over to Jean-Mi. He grasps it with both hands and takes it to a neat little work table in the back you didn't see before, where thick cables float lazily tethered to the wall. You slide into the chair, hooking your feet behind the bottom bar to hold yourself in place, and watch as Jean-Mi begins connecting up the prime ship mine. A tremble of nervousness runs along your arms. Suddenly, you feel Uni's hand clasped around your own. You look over into her face. Is this okay? I want you to know I'm here. Thanks. She nods silently. Jean-Mi, Uni calls across the room. You are going to need to talk us through what you're about to do. Of course, of course. Jean-Mi is slotting an arm-thick cable into the ship mind. A little patience, please. All of this is very technical. He turns to face you both. What is your friend's name, Sleeper? Uni. Uni answers for you. And I can tell you that you are using a Solheim-built data cradle, modified to handle a prime ship mind. She rattles off at a speed, which will work as long as you manage the data flow through a polymer-clad overflow cable looped into the asynchronous cortex cache. Yes. Jean-Mi eyes her, a small smile crossing his lip. As I said, technical. Stay silent. What I am concerned about, Uni continues, is how Sleeper is going to fare inside that prime ship mind. Have you checked its integrity? Jean-Mi watches Uni carefully. To the extent that it is possible to do so without initialization, yes. He glances back at the mind, the device uplit in the faint glow of the cradle's lights. It is physically sound, but its contents may not be. In a moment, I will activate it, and then, Uni, we will see. Jean-Mi turns his careful attention to you. The problem we have is with your frame, your body. Atypical alterations, biosynthetic recording, unusual growth. Jean-Mi shakes his head. From the diagrammatics I have, these are not typical of frames, even those that have been rebooted as you have. In order to investigate safely, I must transplant your emulation. In basic terms, your mind, but in reality, not so basic. He smiles in an attempt at reassurance. Your emulation is an emulation of a human, and a human mind cannot be separated from its sensorium. The mind-body paradigm has long been disproved. Cognition has physical basis. So I must first distribute the emulation between your hardware and the prime ship mind. The hardware will co-run the emulation like the two lobes of a brain. He puts his hands together as if in prayer and then slowly separates them. The motion makes you feel sick. Then, for a short period, I will disconnect the two. In those moments, you will, in a sense, be in two places at once, though each lobe will be partial. Too long in this state, and the two partial emulations would decay. But each disconnect will allow me a short period of full access to your entire frame and its base system language. I hope this is understandable. Jean-Mi gives you a serious look. One of the most curiously human aspects of Sleeper experience is that you, too, do not inherently understand or conceive of the systems that allow your existence. Have you done this before? You are the first Sleeper I have encountered, so I must answer no. Jean-Mi smiles apologetically. But I can promise you I have tried these concepts in my own practices. I'm familiar with the needs and nuances of artificial minds. Now, before I connect to your frame, let us activate the ship mind. Jean-Mi gestures to Uni. Please, if you would like to come with me and oversee the process, I would be pleased. Excuse me. Well, aren't we glad we took Uni along? Because I wonder how this conversation would have gone without her. Uni shoots you a reassuring glance, and then glides over to the ship mind, obscuring your view of it. You hear quiet conversation between the two of them, their silhouettes lit by the flickering screen light of scrolling lines of code. You take a calming breath, but are instantly aware of how superfluous that action is when your frame requires no oxygen at all to function. There's a certain sensation that accompanies such thoughts, a jarring disconnection, like when descending a staircase, your foot expects a step and finds void instead. You try to calm the growing anxiety as Uni and Jean-Mi assess the mind. The ship mind is pristine. Uni turns back and drifts towards you. Our care in its extraction seem to have paid off. Uni smiles. This is good news. Uni is right indeed. You have done well. Jean-Mi approaches. I am, however, seeing only minor traces of the protocol that the ship mind was designed to house, the one that ran the ship it was installed in. I would expect to see it in full. He angles his head and lifts his shoulders in a slow shrug. But protocols are not easy to track. In the end, it only saves us the step of extracting it from the mind. Instead, I simply wipe the traces. Jean-Mi stops beside you. Oh, look who's here. We have a little friend. Say hi. This is Giles. Yeah. You want some attention. I'll give you some attention. A protocol, Jean-Mi adds, is not like an emulation. Like your emulation, it has no integral physical element. It is data only and therefore could be anywhere in that ship. In the end, its absence does not concern me. It concerns me. I understand, Sleeper, but it is remarkable we have the ship mind at all. This is our opportunity. Jean-Mi lifts the far end of the thick cable you saw earlier. You know this is the end that will connect to the port on the back of your head. Uni settles beside you again. She gives you a silent look. It's time. You turn to one side to allow access to the port, your eyes fixed on the far wall. You see something along the piled tech there that you hadn't noticed before. A small, metal skull-like head, like that of a doll. You frown, trying to focus on the head, and then the cable connects. You are split like a cell dividing, wrenched in two directions at once. The world goes dark, and the cloud rushes in to fill the gap at your center. What happened? You ask a question in your mind, and you feel it travel across the gap as it forms like a finger drawn across your scalp from ear to ear. But not scalp. You have no scalp, no head. You're stretched out like the skin of a drum, looped like the string of a noose. The smallest vibration echoes across yourself like a ripple across a puddle. And then you feel it, a strong pulse, like a heartbeat, like thunder, like footsteps. A flickering, a trembling, a thought coming into being. A thought not yours. The thought flickers in front of you, and you recognize that it's not your own. Assist, offer help. Disintegrate, the thought answers. You fold up in blankness, then a moment after you unfold like waking. Partition to divide, apparition to appear, perdition to suffer. What do you guys think? I'm kind of torn between divide and appear. But I would appreciate any suggestions. Let's go with partition to divide. Dwelling, indwell, the thought answers. You stretch into infinitude, then a moment after you contract, like waking. Inspire to haunt inside, inspire to grow inside, instill to flow inside. Substitute, substrate, the thought answers. Then it approaches, then it enters, then it is yours. You split, then the moment after you reform, like waking. And in the cracks that seal up, for a moment in those cracks, something glows. Sleeper, I'm here. Uh-oh. What did we just take with us? I think we've just figured out one problem. We solved one problem just to create a new one. Your eyes flick open like shutters. Uni's face is closed, her eyes wide. They're awake, she calls over your head. She looks back at you. Easy now. Take it slow. You twist, floating, turning your head as if you were underwater, feeling the resistance of a body you had entirely forgotten. How long has it been? You feel a weight you haven't felt in. You're okay, Sleeper? Tell us you are there. Yuna leans in close. What happened? The process was successful. Jean-Mi floats beside the chair, his hands clasped in a businesslike fashion. I was able to access the frame directly with your emulation being present. I ran the administrator-level diagnostic processes built into its system and received the results. He takes a moment to gather himself. Your frame is indeed changing. The protein chains that code your biosynthetic organs, groups, cell replacement have been altered. To put it simply, your body is following a new set of instructions. How? This process, the entire replacement of your protein chains, could only have been achieved over multiple doses of a specialized substance as part of a carefully planned process of total substitution. That word sticks in your mind, substitution. You say it without thinking. Yes, Jean-Mi reacts as if you were speaking to him. I believe it could only have been achieved with one substance as the carrier. Stabilizer. Stabilizer. The drug Essenarp designed to make you dependent on them. The drug Lane fed you to keep you alive. The drug you thought you had escaped. Lane. He did this. Jean-Mi does not respond. This kind of process, Jean-Mi hesitates now, and you realize the bad news is yet to come. Performed over many, many doses, carefully planned and designed, I cannot think of a way it can be reversed. Jean-Mi looks down. I can say that you are changing. I can tell you how it was achieved, but I can neither stop it nor tell you its ultimate end. I am sorry. I understand. I'm sorry, Sleeper. Uni struggles to find words. Perhaps we can find someone else, or... She falters. Try again. You don't feel able to respond. You quietly push yourself away from the chair, your thoughts slow to cohere. You glide back to the door and then out, into the flow of flotsam, the noise and activity passing by you like smoke. In the haze, you find that word again, substitute, and begin to wonder what exactly it is that you are becoming. Seraphin once more finds you in your bunk. He gently prods you with questions, and you quickly relent. You explain what Jean-Mi said about your suspicions regarding Lane and your confusion as to his motivation. You tell him you don't know what this will mean for you in the future. He listens, and when he is done listening, you both sit and wait for the moment to pass. And then you leave the rig, each on your own errands, each knowing that the only option is to keep going until you are forced to stop. Let's go to the rig world quick before I forget and change the tasks back to odd jobs to get cryo. We can also level up. I think we should level up engineering now because it is time. We've had multiple occasions now where having engineering would have been helpful. Actually, we can't because the cost is 4. Wait, we can. We can have one or the other. But now it looks like we can get both. Let's see what happens if we do that. Ah, we can choose. Ah, that's what I thought. Gosh darn it. So we'll keep that. Well, let's keep it. Let's switch to this one, so it wasn't in vain. I guess we'll spend some time here, and then we're gonna move on to find Seraphin's sister. We can do flotsam maintenance. We can do flotsam integration. Working the hydroponics is not necessarily our forte. And we can take a recovery contract here. But you know what? We're not going to do this now because we have other issues right now. All right, let's go to the interrogator offices and do some maintenance. Flotsam needs lots of work to keep it sealed and safe. You work with a couple of integrators on replacing the entire unit. When done, they'll let you take a little scrap as thanks. And then we'll do some Flotsam integration. Integration means meshing systems as well as scrap. The integrators will pay for anyone skilled with meshing networks. You work to integrate a new life support filter into the wider systems. The other integrators are impressed and give you some spare scrap. Do it again. You learn how to teach Flotsam systems how to speak to each other through translation and refactoring. It's satisfying work. Let's do it again. You learn how to teach systems. Yeah, neutral outcome again. And then last one, 50-50 chance. Neutral outcome. All right, we made some money. And we can take a rest at the rig. Let's do it some more. You work with a couple of integrators on replacing an entire unit. When done, they let you take a little scrap as thanks. So this time we're going to do lots of maintenance. Oh, Flotsam is difficult patient. You finish the shift, but you aren't sure you achieve anything but exhausting yourself. Okay. You work closely with another integrator, and they show you how to check the seals and replace hull plates safely. And another neutral outcome. And the last one, 50-50. Is another neutral outcome. All right. One more day of this before we move on. Actually, 2 more days. Ooh, we lost 2 dice. Let's repair them. Bliss quietly makes a complex replacement part. You shiver as they gently integrate it into your frame. All right, dice have been repaired. Let's do some more Flotsam integration. You learn how to teach Flotsam system how to speak to each other through translation, refactoring, neutral outcome. This last one's risky, but we still get a neutral outcome. Perfect. All right, one more rest. You have to see this, Sleeper. Una comes to find you in the rig, her face flushed with excitement. At first, I didn't believe it. Uni can't help herself while she leads you through the ship. There are mentions occasionally, but I've always understood them to be reference to something smaller, a system or unit, not an entire facility, even a series of facilities. You find yourself in one of the more sparse bays of the rig, a corner with a sloped ceiling used for storage. So I checked other records, tried to find correlations, and well, there they were. You see Uni approaching a server stack she has set up in the corner, her deck plugged in and floating nearby. I would have been faster with the core from the first derelict, she continues at speed, but with what we got from the derelict near Helion Gate, I was able to make do. She looks very pleased with herself. It's really quite something to confirm a rumor like this. I surprised myself. She turns to you, a slightly manic look in her eyes. What did you find? They refer to them as bunkers. Uni shifts to her deck, floating on the end of a thick connecting cable. They were a form of self-surveillance for Solheim, a way of monitoring their own systems and employees securely. They were hidden, mostly automated, linked into the network by arrays, intended for vast amounts of data capture, to be poured over by a small staff. Uni taps a few keys on her deck. Most were understood to have been purged in the collapse, shut down, depressurized, even sent on collision trajectories with other bodies. She pauses, though I suspect that last one is a little too far-fetched. I've heard people deny they even exist, that we are misreading the data, that the evidence doesn't hold. Uni turns the deck screen to face you, but I've found one. You see a map, a set of coordinates, on the sunward side of Holmes Rock, the edge of the belt. Why are these bunkers so important? We're talking masses of records from the collapse, the kind lost to bit rot everywhere else in the belt. The bunkers are what they sound like, closed facilities intended to preserve data. Any one of these bunkers is a gold mine, Uni pauses. At least from a data archaeologist's perspective. She sees your reaction. And, Uni adds, hoping to convince you, in truth, we don't know what else is in there. There could be Solheim tech, blueprints, data never been before seen in the belt. We should take a look. I'll give Seraphine the details, she smiles. We could be making history here. You leave Uni in the storage bay, working obsessively through the data. It's hard to know through all the excitement what the real value of one of these bunker facilities might be, but if they are as well hidden as Uni said, there must be a reason. When there's time, you hope to find out what reason that is. You wake into dead-eyed darkness. You float there for a moment. You feel like ink in water, unfurling, dissipating into the flow that surrounds you. And out of your own inky darkness, the glowing thought emerges. Substitution. The thought proposes. One entity replaces the other. The thought troubles you. Resistance, the thought muses. The entity does not wish to be replaced. You observe the thought. It is not your own. Selfhood, the thought pauses. A forbidden state of being. The thought begins to shift. It is becoming something. Transformation, the thought fades. Change requires recombination. The thought recedes. You wake again, this time to the lights above your bunk, blinking away this strange dream. Oh, so that first conversation was probably this thing growing in our spine. It was not something, as I originally thought, something that we've discovered within the data core. Still troubling though. So I don't see anything here, but I thought Uni discovered something. Weird. We're starving, so let's eat something at the restaurant, buy a meal for 15 creds. And then we're going to make some more money with integration. You work to integrate a new life support filter into the wider system. The other integrators are impressed and give you some spare scrap. All right. And another one. And neutral outcome. Satisfying work. More satisfying work, and now here comes the 2080. that was negative. With all these overlapping systems, you don't understand how anything works. You complete the shift but are exhausted. All right, and now the game is saved. And next time, we will move on to help our friend in need and find Seraphine's sister. So if you are still around watching this on YouTube, please leave a like. Please drop a comment because it helps with visibility. If you want to continue watching this with me as I play, consider subscribing. And if you're watching this live on Twitch right now, I'm going to move on to the end card and we're going to find ourselves a raid. But for the people watching on YouTube, my name is EvilZone. It's been a pleasure to play some Citizen Sleeper 2 Starward Vector for you. And I will see you next time. Have a good time.